Hey, thanks guys for watching. This is Gabe from Southeast Pit Report, and right now I'm talking with Pat from Anti-Flag. Go ahead and tell them what you do in the band.
My name is Pathetic. I play drums in aforementioned Anti-Flag, and I rock people's asses off.
That's what we like.
Yeah.
So, thank you for coming with us
Yes.
to do the interview. We appreciate your time because we know how busy it is.
I was going to have a taco or something, so now
there's a pizza right around the corner.
Yeah, I'm vegan, so hopefully we can find some vegan tacos. That's the goal. They might have vegan cheese in that pizza joint, but I doubt it.
It's a good possibility. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, we'll check it out. We'll check it out after we're done with this.
Sweet, man. So, just to start things off, this is the, American Spring Tour promoting the newest CD that you guys are putting out.
Yes.
Go and talk a little bit about the process of the writing.
American Spring is a little bit of a departure for us because the last two records we recorded ourselves in Pittsburgh in our own studio. This record we went and worked with Kenny Carkeet from a band called AWOL Nation and his producer James Kaufman, and the three of us produced the record together. So we had some other ideas that the last two records that we've done previous to this record, we wanted to just be the four of us in a room, and we felt as though we achieved that goal on the last two records, and this one we wanted to try a little bit, get a little bit of, take some risks and do some different things.
Very nice. So I do have a question. There's been a lot of confusion, at least on my end, because I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar with Anti-Flag.
Yeah.
But to just kind of bring things up to speed for everyone else who may not know.
Yeah.
How many albums has Anti-Flag released?
That's a debate. It's a lot. I think it's like 10. I think we're saying this is a 10th. It depends on how you count, whether it's whether you count the EPs and the live record, half is a record. So it's a lot of records.
Okay.
We've been a band for over 20 years, and we have a lot to say. And so we've released a couple records in our lifetime. But yeah, I think we're saying this is the 10th record.
Okay. So you guys are very much so a well-established veteran band. Do you guys believe that you're considered one of the most iconic bands?
I don't believe that I'm iconic, but we've been around for a long time, and we've, for better or for worse, we've sort of been consistent in what we've done. So that is a blessing and a curse. It's just this is playing in this band is who we are, and so a lot of other bands go through different phases, and the nice thing about Anti-Flag has been that it's been the four of us for 18 years, the same four guys for 18 years. And actually, with our crew and everything, it's been like some of those guys have been with us for 10, 15 years as well. So just that idea of having a consistent band with a consistent ideology and a consistent style of music, it makes people think that you're iconic.
So we'll actually get a little bit back into more of the history behind you guys in just a moment. So what I actually kind of want to brush up on is just what do you feel like is the thing you're about? Like, who are you guys and what are you representing?
Well, we're a punk rock band that sings songs about social justice and freedom, equality, and not being a dick. And that's what we've done from the beginning. When we were playing basement shows in 1993, we were singing songs about freedom, equality, and not being a dick. And that's what we do in 2015. We do play songs about not being a dick. So it's yeah, it's as simple as that. Everybody wants to live free and do the things that make them happy, and I feel as though that you should, as long as you're not hurting anybody else.
Do you feel like you're kind of reaching out to the younger generation as well, or is it just kind of more around the same generation?
No, I think that that idea of freedom and justice is not a young person. It's framed lots of times in a young person. Like it's only important to young people, but nobody wants to be told what to do. And so yeah, I think it's important for all people. I think that we play loud and fast and hard, And so that if you want to sit down and smoke a cigar and drink a glass of wine, we're not the band for you. But if you want to go out and fucking run around in circles and say fuck a bunch, we're the band for you.
It's good to know. I'm happy that you guys are so connected with, you know, everyday generations, from anyone who's 12 years old to anyone who's 40.
Yeah, I've never felt that punk rock was an elitist club. I've always felt that it's a place for fuck-ups and weirdos to hang out. And yeah, it doesn't matter whether you're a 15-year-old fuck-up or a 45-year-old fuck-up. You're welcome.
Sweet shit. So getting back onto the album.
Yes.
Tom Morello produced the 2003 album Terror State.
Yes.
And actually just recently did guest vocals in the newest CD.
He played guitar. He didn't sing.
Okay.
He just played guitar.
Okay.
Yeah. So Tom Morello plays, does a killer solo and plays guitar on. What the hell's the name of the song? I can't think of the name of the song off the top of my head now. But yeah, and then Tim Armstrong sings on Brandenburg Gate, which is one of the other songs. So we have both Tom Morello and Tim Armstrong.
Okay, so what relation do you have with Tom?
Tom has been a friend of ours. We did, he called us up to do the very last Rage Against the Machine tour before they broke up. And we did that tour, and I guess that was 97, 98. It was the Battle of Los Angeles tour with them. We were one of the opening bands. So we've been friends with Tom through that and all the way till now. And yeah, he's always doing interesting and cool things. And whenever we record a record, we're always like, hey, Tom, you know, this song would be cool if you did something on here. And so he's always a good guy and does it with us.
That's awesome. It's nice to know that you have different friendships from like other bands that are kind of connecting with you, and
yeah,
still,
well, you know, when you're a activist band, there's not as many of us out there. So if you find other bands that have similar beliefs and similar ideas, you gravitate towards them. And usually the people in those bands are cool. So it's just when you find good people, you hang out with them.
So I mean, speaking of like just touring, there's, no matter who I talk to, whether it be a band member or a tour guy, there's always been hardships, there's always been good highlights, bad highlights. What kind of things can you really tell just to the general public of, you know, what you do on tour, how you get through the long dates?
Tour is a very, since I've been doing it for 20 years, it's a weird thing because in my life, this will be a 3-week tour. I'll leave and come home and it'll be like 1 day passed, but everybody else around me had 3 weeks of time. It's like it's like you're doing some time travel. So for me, I'm like, I'm still, it was just 2 days ago I was in Pittsburgh, but then they're like, no, that was 3 or 4 weeks ago because you were on tour the whole time. Touring is a weird experience, but I love it. It's what makes me feel like a human being. So obviously there's shitty days, but the most difficult part of touring is interacting with people who are not on tour and trying to maintain that home life while you're out traveling.
Right. Because I mean, everyone who does tour, they're just everyday people. It's
Yeah.
nothing new. I mean, it's
Everybody's everyday people. It doesn't matter whether you're on tour or not. Barack Obama's a fucking everyday person. But yeah, touring is it's not as amazing as people think it is, but it's also a cool experience.
Right.
Yeah, you don't get to you wake up in the morning and you don't know who you're gonna meet, what kind of great conversation you're gonna have, what kind of shitty conversation you're gonna have. It all when you sit at home, that you don't have that experience of anything can happen to you that day.
Is there anything that you do specifically, like a daily ritual, to kind of get you by?
I like to go walking. I'm really well versed in the sexual relations of pigeons because I like to hang out in parks, and there's always pigeons having sex somewhere, and so I sit in parks and watch people and pigeons a lot. But yeah, it's just having the chance to walk around and see what each city has to offer and the people that are in them, what they're doing and how they live. The other thing about touring that's specifically for me that's very important is every city has a community of people that are trying to do interesting things, and they all have a battle that they're fighting. And when you are in the city, you get to learn about the struggles that those people are fighting, whether it's, you know, just in a national sense. In Baltimore, they're fighting specifically for justice with the police. You know, those types of things. When you're in Baltimore, you talk to people who are in that battle. When we were in the Ukraine, there were kids who were fighting the Russians, and you're like, it's still a battle for freedom, and a battle of overcoming oppression, but it's a very different battle. And so being in those places, you don't get that feel unless you're actually on the ground in those places.
Right. No one knows what it is, and I mean, no one can really tell the level of almost excitement it really is until they're at ground zero.
Yeah.
Because we're over here on the other side of the world, and we're just like, well, that doesn't really pertain to us.
Yeah, and when you're in the environment, you get to feel what's really going on, and it's very important.
For a second.
No worries, we got a garbage coming through, recycling. It looks like.
No, it's just the bar.
Just,
trash cans.
oh, okay.
Our dumpster's fucking behind the goddamn road.
You're good, but that's a good workout every night. Have to drag beer cans all the way.
Job.
Yeah,
I guess,
if you don't know, a gentleman was carrying beer bottles down that way. You can hear it. There it goes.
So that's also really enlightening. Just to know the kind of things that, you know, everyday Joes who are touring, what they go through. So thanks for sharing with us on that.
Absolutely.
Also, vinyl.
Yes.
Vinyl has actually kicked in a lot over this in the past few years.
The thing, I don't have a record player because I'm not a fucking snob. But having said that, the idea of vinyl is interesting to me because it's a larger format for artwork and creativity. And with CD, obviously you have that, which is great. But when you go to a fully digital record, you don't get you don't hold the record in your hand.
Right.
And that piece of vinyl is interesting because it's a bigger space to do really creative things. And when our record's coming out in a couple days, 22nd, and it is a great gatefold record with a die cut and a pull-out sleeve and a poster and all this really cool stuff that you can't get from a digital copy. So if you're into that kind of thing, which I am, I love that the creativity of that. It's exciting to me. I don't believe that a record sounds any better than a CD versus digital. If you do, great. If you like, a lot of people like that process of putting it on a record player. It doesn't speak to me, but the artwork of having that in my hand is important to me.
No, I definitely agree. I mean, it's a little different for everyone. Obviously, no one's going to feel the same way.
Yeah.
But I've definitely noticed like the pure aesthetic, just physical appeal of it, and it's beautiful. You can actually see artists who are putting splat patterns onto onto the vinyls. They'll put a transparent.
Yeah, there's a lot more creativity that's going on in vinyl than is going on anywhere else, and I think it's a backlash of digital where there's no creativity. You have the record, it's on a kid's phone, and either he listens to it or he doesn't. It just sits there. Where vinyl, you actually have to make an effort to pick it up, put it on your turntable, and that's an interesting that.
It's good to know. It's really appealing to me. So that's why I kind of had to brush up on
good.
that.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, vinyl's there's a lot of people. We're doing all kinds of things, and actually at AF Records, the record company that we run, almost all our pieces we're just doing exclusively vinyl. Then we're doing a digital download for people who want to listen to it in other places. But for the bands that we're doing, like Homeless Gospel Choir, who's playing with us tonight, that group of people, they want to have the vinyl, and it connects with them.
What is the meaning behind the album you guys are putting out, by the way?
American Spring. Well, American Spring is a reference to the Arab Spring, which is a period of revolution that it went across the Middle East from late 2010 and still is going on today. in the process of thinking about revolution and how that works, we were talking about how does revolution work? Why did it not work in Syria and it seems to have worked in Tunisia? Why is it sort of working in Egypt? They got rid of Mubarak, but then when they just replaced him with a new guy, and found that revolution is all about, the process of revolution is about nonviolence, and all institutions are much more willing to use violence than individuals. So governments are much more willing to use violence than individuals. Religions are much more willing to use violence than individuals. So if you are an individual who's trying to achieve change in a culture, the only way to really do that is to be nonviolent. And so that is where we're talking about American Spring, and then the flower obviously representing spring, but also elicits for some people over archetypal images of police, a woman in a hijab, American soldier. People feel that is an expression of violence, even if it isn't, and how that dialogue is talked about is very important to me, because for our record, if many people see the woman with a hijab and they're like, oh, that sucks, and then you flip it over in the American soldier and it makes them angry. And so to me, that's a very fucked up reaction, because all life is, for me, is sacred, and not in a hippie bullshit way, just in the way of I don't want to die, I don't want somebody else to have to die either. But so that there's a lot of that stuff going on in the record and in the jacket.
Gotcha. Well, I think that kind of covers everything, but we appreciate you for taking time out of your day to talk with us.
My pleasure.
So, appreciate it, Pat.
Yeah.
This is Gabe from Southeast Spirit Report. Thanks.